Hi all, welcome to today's webinar, Digital Marketing 101 with Sophie Hansen. My name's Camilla, I will be your moderator today. I am part of the Farm Business Resilience team in the New South Wales DPI. The Farm Business Resilience Program is funded by Australian Government Future Drought Fund and the New South Wales DPI, and we've partnered with the New South Wales Local Land Services to help deliver events around the state as part of the program. So before we get too far in, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we're meeting today. For me, that is the Wiradjuri people, and I wish to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I also wish to extend that respect to all First Nations people and acknowledge their strength and resilience and accomplishments. So our sponsors would like to extend a warm welcome to Sophie. Sophie's a fantastic social media expert and food writer, but in her personal life, she is also a farmer, a mother of two, and former Rural Woman of the Year. A pretty big resume to sit next to today, but I'm very excited to be listening to Soph and all of her knowledge around Digital Marketing 101. So without further ado, Soph, here you go, take it away.
Great. Just going to go full screen. All right, we're up and running. Okay, so Digital Marketing 101. As I said earlier, this really is a huge topic. But let's start with, this is actually, before I start there, this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to actually just talk about what digital marketing really is. And the four, I've added an extra step in actually, that the steps that we need to take before we step up to that microphone I mentioned before. We need to get really, really clear on what we're actually here for. What do we need the time that we're spending on digital marketing to achieve for us? We need to identify who we're actually talking to. This is like marketing 101, your ideal client. And what's your why? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Why are people going to connect with you as opposed to someone who's doing something similar? What makes your story and your product and your offer really unique, and how we can communicate that as loudly and proudly as possible. And then we're going to talk about the importance of being constantly on top of our online presence. So doing an audit every month, every 6 weeks, whatever it might be, making sure that every little brand ambassador that we have out there, and when I say brand ambassador, I mean every post you put out there on Instagram, your website, your newsletter, anywhere that you appear online is like a mini brand ambassador for you. And are they doing you justice? So just a quick intro for those of you who don't know me. My name's Sophie. I live just out of Orange. I write cookbooks. I help people with their social media. We have an agribusiness, Mandadgery Creek Venison. So we do have a vertically integrated beer business, and we also have cattle at the moment. I also write cookbooks. I'm writing my 5th one at the moment, which is great. And I really love helping small agribusinesses get confident and skilled up to tell their stories online. So that's me. I've been using Instagram and social media for about 11 years now. We used to do the farmers markets with our venison a long time ago. And when we stopped, what I found, I really missed that weekly interaction with our customers. Like every week we could stand there in front of our customers and say, did you like the new sausages? Was there too much pepper in the pie? Whatever it might be. Do you like this new cut? And we would get instant feedback. And we would also tell our customers what's happening on the farm that week or that month. We've had some rain, etc. And we developed some really beautiful relationships. But life got busy, we had kids, etc., and the farmers markets just became really difficult for us to do every week. And I found that social media, Instagram particularly, really stepped into that gap and allowed me to keep those conversations going, keep sharing what was going on behind the farm gate, testing recipes, sharing recipes. And I think that, you know, this is a free platform, let's get rid of that, you know, allows us to really make some meaningful connections. So that's why I'm such a flag flyer for social media. Okay, so what is digital marketing? Basically, any kind of marketing that exists online, all right? Today's workshop, we're going to be focusing mostly on social media and email marketing channels, but if you have particular questions about any of the other ones, we can definitely touch on those too. But digital marketing really is just marketing. And, you know, rule number 1 of marketing is the right offer at the right time in the right place. So it's so important to be really clear on what that offer actually is. What are you putting out into the world? What are people going to act on? What's your call to action? You can spend hours and hours and a lot of money doing a really fantastic website and content planning and getting help, you know, Facebook ads, etc. But if you haven't got a really clear offer and a really clear message for people, then that time is not going to be put to the best use. So digital marketing channels, of course, social media, your website is another big part of that. Digital advertising also falls under this umbrella. So Facebook ad campaigns, display advertising, Google ads, paid social media ads. And then my other great love, email marketing or newsletters, EDM campaigns, which I think are more and more important. As I said at the very beginning, it's getting increasingly difficult to reach our customers on social media without boosting our posts. We are renting those people from Mark Zuckerberg or whoever, whereas our newsletter mailing list is our bricks and mortar. We own those lists. Those people have opted in to hear from us directly. And so we've got that really precious resource there where we can connect directly to people who have already told us they're interested in what we're doing and why we're doing it. So if you haven't got a newsletter already, or if you aren't collecting email addresses, just start collecting the email addresses. You might not be ready to do it yet, but just start, because you'll once you do, you'll kick yourself for not doing it earlier. The other thing I would say to you is just don't spread yourself too thin. You know, choose, even if we're all busy, this is obviously not, we're not all full-time social marketing, digital marketing experts. We often have to just slot that job in at the end of a very other long list of jobs. So choose one channel even if you're really, really busy, and just do that really well. Don't try and be across everything. Don't try and do absolutely everything, because you'll just wear yourself out. Do one thing well, and then once you've got that under control, then you can maybe add another channel, etc. But the best digital marketers, as per this quote, are the ones that know where their people are and have a really clear idea of how to talk to them and what they want from them. Yeah, so wherever you choose to show up on social media, just read that one I've got written there, you've got to be just super, super clear on all these things: your goal, your offer, your audience, and your why. Oops. All right. So step one in my little four-step process is goals. So, you know, you might be on social media and sharing photos of your kids' birthday cakes, and that might be great. But and also the thing about goals is, if you don't really know why you're there, you're kind of all over the place. You're sharing a birthday cake, and you're sharing a photo of the market or your product or whatever it might be. And it's a bit messy. So if you really have real tunnel vision about what it is that you're here for, then it actually makes it so much easier to decide what to share, how to share it, where to share it, etc. So think about what do you need this precious time of yours that you're spending on marketing, digital marketing, to convert to? And I call that like a conversion goal. So after today, I'm going to send you guys a little workbook. We've got the girls will email that out to you with lots of spaces to write all these things in. And I would love you to actually sit down, spend some time writing your goals down and thinking about how you're going to measure them and how you're going to achieve them. So your goal might be brand awareness. You might just be at the point where you're starting something new, or you haven't got like a particular offer of like, buy this product yet. Or you might be a service-based industry, and you might just want people to know about you, to advocate for you, etc. Your goals might be lead generation. There might be to actually get people through your marketing funnel down to click purchase. And I mentioned advocacy before. That is the main thing, I think, and the main power, especially of social media and newsletters, is that they turn your people, your existing customers, into advocates, into brand ambassadors that are out and about at their local coffee shop going, oh my God, have you tried such and such grass-fed beef? It's amazing. We had it last night for dinner. It was so good. You should follow them on Instagram and get some, etc. So that's really what we're wanting to achieve here. You know, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And the way to build that know, like, and trust factor is to consistently show up for them somewhere online. The place that you choose is the right place for you, and give them value and make offers that actually solve problems for them. I think I talk a lot about like a hub and spoke system. So your goal is your hub. So thinking about that bike wheel. And so every spoke, every newsletter you send, every post you put on Facebook, whatever it might be, needs to somehow, some of them will be really direct, like buy this thing, sign up to this thing. And some of them will be a bit more theoretical, I guess, but you always need to be thinking, what's my goal here? Because otherwise you'll just lose momentum. You'll get disheartened. You'll think, oh my God, I'm spending all this time writing newsletters, doing posts on social media, and nothing's happening. The needle is not moving. So if you're always kind of thinking towards that goal, it really does help you, I guess, stay the course. Like all goals, it's got to be measurable. So write it down and check in on it regularly. So what I do is I set like an alert on my calendar every 6 weeks or whatever. And it reminds me to go in and I check my stats on my Instagram. I check my newsletter reports. I don't do it every day because that kind of is a bit soul destroying. And I don't do it every week because you need a bit more perspective. But for example, say your goal after today is I want to grow my newsletter mailing list by 20 people a month. So that might be it. That's a good goal. That's achievable. It's measurable. So you're going to set an alert every month to check in and see whether it's growing or whether indeed it's going the other way. You know, I have a newsletter I send out every Monday. Every single Monday I have unsubscribers, but I always have more subscribers than unsubscribers. But if it was going the other way, that's a really good indication to me that what I'm putting out there isn't quite hitting the mark. So let's change it up. So you use your insights and you use those statistics and you use your measurements to just guide you in the right direction, because you might have a really great idea of a campaign that you want to do. You want to share something every week on your social media, and that's great, but it might not actually hit the mark. It might not be really what your people are wanting from you. So you've got to be checking in on your goals all the time. So after today, a little action I'd love you to take is write down your goal and check in on it regularly, okay? And your goal will fit into your overall business plan, which we're not kind of touching on as much today because that's a whole other thing, but it will probably change. You know, your goal might, for me right now, I have a new book coming out in a month. So my current goal is talking about that, getting pre-orders through the system. So every second post, I'm talking about pre-orders, I'm sharing snippets of the book, I'm doing things like that. That's my goal. But in a couple of months, my goal will change again. It might be, oh, I want to focus on my newsletter a bit more. So I'm going to ask people to sign up. So your goal will change. It's not a static thing, but you need to be on top of it, and you need to be like literally have tunnel vision about it. And really, once you've got your lane, once you know what you're there for, you can just forget about everything else. You don't have to worry, is this an appropriate thing to share, or is this a good thing to share? You know what's right because you've got your goal at the end that you're working towards. Okay. Yeah. Oh, good. Sorry, I should open those. I can't see the questions. Oh, they're there. Sorry. Oh, an SEO in the EDM. SEO is search engine optimization. So that's basically a back-end thing you can do on your website. So if I have a grass-fed beef company, then I want to, and sorry, if I'm looking for grass-fed beef, I'll go into Google and type in grass-fed beef orange. And if that was mine or Camilla's business, you'd want yours to be the very top or up the top of those rankings. It's quite complicated. I don't do it for myself. I actually pay someone to do my SEO for me because it's a whole other world of back-end web stuff, but that's why I'm not really touching on it here. If you're building a new website, there'll be a lot of advice with your web tech developers, or even if you're going through a free company like Squarespace, they'll give you advice on how to use keywords and things like that to manage your SEO. But basically it means that you're findable on Google or online. And it is important if you have a website that you have invested in. Another question. An EDM is electronic direct mail. It's basically just sending your mailing list emails that hopefully they will find useful and act upon. I'm a big believer in the power of a good email, especially because you know when you click send, that person's going to get it. It's not going to get lost in an algorithm somewhere. So there's a question here. How do you manage privacy risks and collection handling of personal information with email marketing? So that's a great question. It depends really on the platform that you use. So you have to use, or you should use, a third-party email platform. So I use MailChimp. It's free for the first 2,000 subscribers you have, and I think it's a fantastic platform. There are some others that we'll talk about later on. And basically, when you sign up to my newsletter on MailChimp, you have to tick a lot of boxes and say, yes, I consent to receiving emails from this person, et cetera, et cetera. You can't just subscribe people that you think will like your newsletter. They have to actually opt in. So there's a lot of processes in place via those third-party platforms that will manage your newsletter for you. But yeah, you have to be careful about stuff like that. You have to make sure that everybody has given consent to receiving your emails. Someone else has said, I'm not a wordsmith, but would like to build my brand. What would you suggest to overcome this barrier? Okay, so we're going to come in step 4. We're going to talk about writing down your why, putting in words what makes you tick, what gets you out of bed in the morning, and why people are going to care. But I would say, I know what you mean about not being a wordsmith, and a lot of people find writing captions, writing newsletters, writing website copy is very difficult. I would say to you, just put your ideal customer in your mind, and we're going to talk about that in a second, and write directly to him or her. So imagine you're standing at the markets or at your counter in your shop, or in front of whatever business you've got, in front of your ideal customer, and write directly to that person. Don't ever write to a demographic. That's like 101 rule of what not to do with digital marketing. It's called social media for a reason. We're there to connect with people one-on-one. So write as if you're talking to a person. And what I often do as well, if I find that I'm struggling with the words, I dictate my captions or my messages. I often dictate my newsletter introduction into my phone. I'll be walking along and I'll think of a good thing I want to say. So I open the Notes app in my phone and I press the little microphone on the bottom and I go blah, 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 blah. And I talk for ages. And then when I get home and I start to write, I'm not staring at a blank screen. It's the tyranny of the blank page. That's the thing I think a lot of is up on. So, and often when I've dictated my captions or my story, 80% of it could be complete garbage, but 20% might be really good, stuff. And that's what I've got to work for. So I would also say, if you find the writing stuff a bit tricky, there's a fantastic free platform called Grammarly. And I'll send you a few links as well to go and check these out. But Grammarly, you can put your caption in and press check, and it just flashes out any typos, funny grammar, overuse of certain words, etc. It's really, really great. So I would try those two things. Dictate your captions, because it's easier sometimes to talk about what you love and what you do than write it down. And once you've done that, edit it, tidy it up, and flush it through Grammarly. Here's another question. Do I run analytics to better target my audience? Which platforms, programs do you use? So as I said earlier, I just use the in-app analytics that Facebook and Instagram gives me. I know that there are platforms that go a lot deeper, but really they tell me what I need to know. And on MailChimp, they give, every time you press send on an EDM or a newsletter, they will give you a very comprehensive report the next day. But again, I don't check for a week, because it sometimes takes people a week to get to my newsletter. And it will tell me where people have clicked, what time they opened it, if they forwarded it to anyone. It's amazing. It's just the free service too. So the analytics are fantastic. But I would say as well, just go with your gut, especially with social media. You'll know if a Facebook post or an Instagram post is successful. You will know because there's a conversation happening in the comments. That's how I measure my most successful posts. When people are chatting to each other, it's all happening. That's what the algorithm loves to see. When they can see that everybody's chatting in a caption in the comments, they're like, oh, this is juicy content. This is content that people like. We're going to show it to more people. Okay. The other thing that I often look at on Instagram is saves and shares. And I can show you at the end where you find all those analytics. I'll mirror my phone and show you. But if my content is being saved, that's like, ding, 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 this is valuable content. People like it. They want to come back to it. So I don't think you need to go too kind of far down the road of paying for third-party analytics and data. Go with your gut. You will know. You will know when something's being well received. But definitely look at your newsletter marketing stats and your social media stats, and they will tell you what you need to know in a broad way. Please don't look at those sites that tell you how many people unfollow you. I find that is like a ticket to the therapist's couch for sure, for me at least. I don't want to know that. I mean, I can see if there's a big drop off, but I don't want to know individually who unfollows me or who follows me. In fact, I was doing a bit of a clean out of my own fees the other day, and I was interested in, renovation stuff a while ago, but I'm not anymore. So I unfollowed all these people, and I got a really hurt email from someone saying, "Oh, you've unfollowed me. Why? What have I done wrong?" etc. And I was like, no, don't look at that stuff, because people come and go. You're not going to be relevant to everybody all the time. So that was a long answer to that one. All right, I'll keep going. So step 2, be really clear on your offer. What are you actually here to sell us or offer us? What problems does it solve for your person? And what actions do you need people to take to actually participate in that offer? So on average, people need to hear your message 7 times before they'll take action. That's a lot, and often people say, "Oh, I don't want to flood everybody with salesy emails or posts or whatever it might be." But don't forget, if you're posting about a new event that you're running, or a product that you have, or an opening, or whatever news, whatever your offer might be, and you put it on Instagram, you can't just walk away and go, "Done, I've posted that on Facebook or Instagram," because chances are we haven't seen it. The algorithm is a shocker at the moment. It's really making it very difficult for us to see everything that the people we follow post. There are some changes coming that allow us to go back to that chronological post, but it hasn't been rolled out, to me at least. I don't think it's in Australia yet. But so make your offer and make it often, okay? Look back through your existing channels, and this can be part of the audit that we're going to talk about at the end. And have a think, when was the last time you actually, with clarity, and how, and why and how they can connect with you, okay? When was the last time you actually posted on your social feeds or in your newsletter, or wherever it is that you show up in your digital marketing umbrella, and said, "Hi, my name is such and such. This is where I am. This is what I do. This is what it can mean for you. And this is how you access it." Do it more than you think you need to, because half the time people actually won't have seen it the first time. Okay, so just in sum, your digital marketing, it needs to do these 3 things, and it needs to do them on a loop. It needs to give value, and needs to build that know, like, trust factor. I said to you before, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Just look at your own habits online, the people you buy from, that you interact with. They're people that you know, like, and trust. And make your offer and make it often. I think we forget that. A lot of people, especially like creative people and artists and people like that, they really feel weird about being salesy and selling. And yeah, I get that. And I'm a bit like that too. But if we don't do that, if we don't tell people how they can actually act on our business and how they can be involved and access this amazing product or service that we offer, we lose momentum, we get disheartened, and our followers actually get a bit confused, like what I'm actually here for, what's going on here. So make an offer and make it often, I would say. The next thing is, this is your action steps for this step. Write down your offer. After today, really sit down. And again, your offer is going to be really closely tied to your goals, which is closely tied to your overall business plan. So your offer might change seasonally. It might change quite fast. I don't know your business, but for me right now, my offer is please pre-order my book, and here's the link where you can do that. Features, advantages, benefits. When you're writing your offer, don't just say, buy my meat or come to my coffee shop. Tell me why. What does that mean for you? So tell me the features of, so we use the meat example again. Let's talk about grass-fed beef from down the road. The features of that is that it's got a unique flavor profile. You know the farmer, you know where it's come from, it's clean and green, etc. The advantages of that is that you're going to serve a delicious dinner and everyone will be happy. And the benefits, what that means to you is that you will feel great. You'll feel like a domestic goddess. You're supporting your local farmers and you're giving your loved ones a beautiful meal. Okay. So I have actually on my pin board lots of things, but one of them is FAB, features, advantages, benefits. So when I'm writing a post where I'm selling something, making my offer, I always try and go through that FAB profile. What are the features? What are the benefits? What does that mean to me, my person? Okay, and then write down how people actually do it. This drives me, I can't believe often how people do these beautiful newsletters and feeds and marketing campaigns, and they tell us all this stuff and they give us all this amazing value, but they don't actually tell us how to do the things. So where do I go now? What's the link? Where do I have to? You've got everybody right down the bottom of your marketing funnel, and you've not actually said the link is in my profile, or however it is that people can actually make that step. You need a call to action. And one thing I've started doing on my social media more recently, which is working really well, rather than just say link is for Instagram, because obviously with Facebook you can put a clickable link in there. With Instagram, I've said rather than just link in my profile, which people find a bit of a hassle, I just say DM me and I'll send you the link. So what we're doing there, we're starting a conversation. Like Instagram is a communication between one person and another. I don't subscribe to that one to many. I really do. When I'm on Instagram, I'm talking to a person. And so with the pre-orders for my book, I'm having actually some really lovely conversations with people. I've got my response that I've pasted as a quick reply on Instagram, which I can show you how to do at the end. And I just paste it in and I say, oh my God, hi Lisa, thank you so much. I'd love it if you pre-ordered. Let me know what you think. And she writes back, oh wow, thanks for the reply. And we're having a conversation. Okay. So all those little steps, I know it's a bit of extra time, but they really help you make it more personal. And remember, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Okay, we can't stand in front of our market stall or our shop or whatever and have these conversations, but we can do them on Messenger, on direct messages, etc. Step 3 is so important, and I'm sure if any of you have, I know some of you guys have done stuff with me before, and I've talked about Sally, but if any of you have done any kind of marketing work, you'll know how vital it is to be very clear on who you're actually here for. Because when you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody. You know, you need to actually make a very clear bio of your person. Who is it that you're actually here to serve, to sell to connect with? And how can you do that? So what I do as well, I went through a country road. I don't know why this photo keeps popping up. Sorry, guys. And hi, Alice. I went through a country road, Country Star magazine, and I tore out a photo of who I think is, I call her my Sally. My ideal person I call Sally. And I've stuck that photo on my pinboard, and I have a really clear idea of who she is, what gets her up in the morning, what keeps her up at night, what problems I can solve for her. And before I click send on a post, I always think, what's in it for Sally? So has anyone heard of that expression, whiffin? What's in it for me? And really, I often think about that, but from Sally's perspective. So I could say, I went to Sydney on the weekend and I had a great avocado toast at Bill's Cafe. And she'll be like, oh, well, good on you, Soph, but you know, I've been stuck here and I haven't been anywhere. So, but if I actually reframed that post and I said, oh, I was in Sydney and we did this, this, and this, and here are my 5 top places to go with kids in Sydney for brekkie, what are yours? Okay, I'm inviting her into the conversation. I'm not just making it me, because it's actually not about us. It's about how we can deliver value, make offers, and connect with our people. Okay, so always find a photo. Obviously, it might not be a Sally, and it might be a man, it might be whatever. But find a photo of your person and stick it up on your pinboard and write or talk or create for that person. And what that does, it makes everything, it's like just like having a goal, having a person in mind makes it so much easier, because then you can think, okay, well, where's Sally likely to spend time? Where's the best place for me to reach her with my marketing efforts? For me, it's not LinkedIn. Sally's not on LinkedIn. She's probably not on Twitter. She's on Instagram for me and newsletter. But your Sally or your Steve might be on Twitter, might be on LinkedIn. You've got to go where they are, okay? You really have to, that's why it's so important to be very clear on that person. So you're not going to waste time on apps and platforms and channels that are not relevant to her or him. You're going to go and meet them where they are. And you're also going to think, so if you're going to start a newsletter and you're going to send it every week, you will think, well, when is the best time for Sally or Steve or whoever to receive this from me? So for me, it's 6:30 a.m. every Monday. And I thought really long and hard about that, because I was like, well, if I send it at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, my Sally, she's at work, she's too busy, she hasn't got time for that. It will just completely go through to the keeper. If I send it on a Friday night, no, she's doing stuff, blah, blah, blah. But 6:30 on a Monday, she's on her phone, she's in bed, she might have finished a Wordle, and she's going to spend 5 minutes with me and my newsletter. So knowing who you're talking to really is a huge part of the puzzle, and everything kind of falls in after that. And think about, what problems are you going to solve for her? It could be something really big. Say you're a lawyer, right? There's a gorgeous girl up in northern New South Wales, and she's an estate lawyer, sorry. So obviously her offer is, I can help you do your will. And she has a hashtag, her like rad chicks write wills or something. I'll show you later. It's great. So she is really clear on who she's talking to and what problems she is solving for them. And every time she sends me a newsletter or sends me a post, she's giving me value. She's telling me tips. How can I get one step closer to having my will done, my estate, etc., etc. So think about what problems yours might be. Just for me, my problem is that I'm giving people healthy, quick, seasonal recipes to cook for dinner tonight. I'm not solving the problems of the world, but that is one thing that's actually helpful to my Sally. So think about whatever you do, whatever product or service you are offering, you're solving a problem for someone, and focus on that, okay? Show, don't tell. Don't just, it goes back to that features, advantages, benefits thing. Don't just say to people, I do blah. Tell us what that actually means. What does that look like for you? Why do you do it? Lead with common values. Simon Sinek, who is, not Simon Sinek, Seth Godin. I'm sure if you guys have done any kind of marketing stuff, you might have come across him. He's an American marketing guru. And he believes that marketing in 2022 is driven by this one line, which is people like us do things like this. So people like us do things like this. We all want to feel a part of something, especially the last few years when everything's been a bit scary and crazy and the world's just going to pot. Well, it's not, but, COVID was stressful. People like us do things like this. So, one of the most engaged upon posts I ever did was something about when my daughter was sick and we were watching Anne of Green Gables, and I posted a photo of like a cup of tea and I said, we're finished that, what's the next thing we should watch that's appropriate for a 12-year-old and a 45-year-old or whatever? And oh my God, the responses just flooded in, and that had nothing to do with food or my offer or anything, but it had everything to do with the kind of person I am. And, so every now and then posts like that are really great because they show, people like us do things like this, we're all in it together, etc. And social media particularly, as I said, the clue is in the name, right? You want to make everybody feel like we're all in it together. And share photos of your life some of these photos, the bottom one of by fantastic Clancy Job, who I'm being out in the road with the kids in the most beautiful way. And I really feel connected to her because over the years, I've seen her kids grow up. I've seen, what makes her tick. And that might not be something that you feel comfortable sharing, of course. Goes back to that goal thing and having that tunnel vision of what you're happy to show up and share. But by sharing your values and who you are in the world, it really can, as this quote says, it can really build trust. And trust is what we want, because without trust, we don't get those advocates. Hashtag selfies. I don't know how many farmers are here, but there are over 20,000 selfies on Instagram right now, which is the farmer selfie. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I love that hashtag. I follow it. It's farmers all over the world sharing photos of them doing what they do in their world. So you can see these examples here. They're not flash. They're not by proper photographers. They're just people on their farms, in their spaces, sharing their world. This stuff, you might think, oh, no one wants to see that. People really, really do. People have never been more interested in the stories and the people behind the food and fiber they're purchasing than now. I really believe that. And by showing up, just sticking your phone up in front of you, oh my God, here we are, it's the most beautiful morning, it's freezing, or it's this or it's that, we're out checking the sensors. Whenever I do that, people really respond well to it because especially our friends in cities, they're really interested in farming. Like we might think, oh, boring, we do this every day, it's nothing special. Like my husband's always like, why are you always filming the fences or you're filming this? I'm like, yeah, because people care. They really want to know what's going on. So don't underestimate the interest that people have in what's going on in your world. So action for step 3, write a bio for your ideal person and give him or her a name and write to her. And I know that a lot of us are businesses, we have more than one ideal customer. I do appreciate that. But what this exercise does is it lots of things, but the main thing for me at least is it makes me talk from a human to a human. So when I'm writing my newsletter, when I'm writing my posts, when I'm writing anything, I'm actually, or doing a video, I'm talking to one person, not hundreds of random people I don't know. I promise you it makes such a difference to the way you show up online if you're talking to a person. Any questions? Do I need to write?
Yes.
Should we stop doing questions for a sec?
Sure.
examples of a successful offer. I mean, think about stuff that you've done in the past that people have enjoyed, you know, so, or I'm just trying to think. I mean, in my case, when I talk about the pre-orders for my new book, that was my offer. And I talked about what was in the book, and I did a video with my mum who I wrote it with, and we were talking about how much love we put into it and how much we really want you to enjoy it, etc., etc. And then we put a link, click here to pre-order. You know, so we actually showed up, we put our faces to it, we talked about it, and it's such an overused word, that we authentically shared our project with our people, and that worked. I mean, I know it worked because I could see the orders come in. So I think come from a place of trying to solve a problem with someone, not just flogging someone something. Not that I know you guys would do that, but I think a successful offer is something that really leads with intent. And I really believe that this product or this service is going to solve a problem for you, and here's why, and here's how you can access it. How do we make space for our product or service in a really crowded market online? That's a really good question, and actually it ties in perfectly with step 4, is your why. So Simon Sinek, he did the second most watched TED Talk of all time, and I talk about this quite a lot. He famously said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I think that is so true, especially in the ag space, because, you know, I don't know about you guys, but we certainly don't do it for the lucrative buckets of money that it brings us. We do it because we love it, we care about it, we care about our farm, we care about our animals, and it's a lifestyle for us. We love that our kids are involved in it, etc. So by sharing that why, by sharing those early morning posts, what gets you out of bed in the morning, the grit, the hard work, etc., that's what's going to make you stand out. You know, I could just go to Woolies and pick up a packet of mints off the shelf, or I could remember, oh my God, those awesome people I've been following on Instagram. Yeah, I might do an online order with them and subscribe to a box of meat a month or whatever it might be. You have, I mean, it's not easy. It's a long game and it takes time. None of this is a quick fix, right? You've got to show up consistently over a period of time. But what will make you stand out is obviously you've got to have a good product, and you've got to make the offer in a way that people can easily access, but just share your why. I know it sounds really like American and cliche, etc., but it is so powerful. And if you think of posts or interactions you've had online where people have done that, where they've actually said, or been really honest, and you know, during the drought or recent harvest has been really difficult, I know, where people have actually got on in front of their camera and told you, we're just having a terrible time, guys. I'm sorry if your orders have been a bit slow. This is why, because we've been bogged or blah, blah, blah. That really resonates with people. People will understand, they will forgive. And we talk a lot about social license, that idea of your people having a really solid understanding of who you are, what you stand for, what your core values are. And if you've got that social license among your advocates, among your people, then if your delivery fails that day or if something goes wrong, they will understand because they know the backstory. They know you're good people. They know you're doing your best to fix it or whatever it might be. So by showing up and sharing your why, I do think you will stand out. You will stand. It might not be to millions of people because obviously we can't be all things to all people, but your rusted on followers will love you for it. There's a really great, I'll put it in the link pack, I'll send you guys, a great article by Kevin Kelly. It's a few years old now, called 1,000 True Fans. And he believes that any business only needs 1,000 true fans that will pick up anything that you put down. And the general point behind that I really love is that I don't need to have hundreds of thousands of followers. I don't need to have 50 million people on my mailing list. If I have 50 people signed up to receive my newsletter every week, imagine that's 50 people in a room. That is a lot of people who are on board with what I'm doing. You know, so don't think I need to have stratospheric numbers and pick up. As long as you've got the right ones, that's, I think, how you stand out to the right people. So after today, and you might have done this already, or it might need a bit of a refresh, spend some time writing down your who, what, why. It's basically your elevator pitch. So if I stood next to you at the coffee shop and I said, oh, hey, what do you do? You'd say, oh, well, I'm a cookbook writer and I love to help people. And here's my web address, okay? So spend some time thinking about that, because that who, what, why statement will underpin every single message and everything you do in your digital marketing. And you will use it in lots of places. You will use it just for yourself to clarify your brand, your business, your purpose, and it will come under your business planning umbrella as well. You will use it on your website About Me page. When I go into a new new website, that's the first page I go to, is the About Me, because I want to know who are the people behind this business, this brand, this product that I'm thinking of purchasing. You might use it if you've got a newsletter or you're doing an EDM campaign on the page where I'm going to sign up. So that's the last point before that funnel. Before I give you my email address, I want to know who you are and what you stand for and who you're for. And on pitch email, so if you want to get PR, if you want to get a story in Country Style or Grazier or Outback or whatever's the appropriate medium for you, if you've got that who, what, why statement sitting in your notes app where you can just copy and paste it over and tweak it, makes your life so much easier, makes you look really professional. If you're doing that, just a very quick thing, make sure you've got a few good images, because those magazines that are potentially going to give you amazing free PR, it will all be about the images that you can send to them, but we can come back to that. So when writing your who, what, why, it goes back to that features, advantages, benefits thing. Focus on who you're for, your Sally or your Steve, what value people are going to get from following you or subscribing to you or buying your thing. And don't just describe what you do. Focus on the benefits, not the features. So if your name isn't in your business profile or your title, tell us who you actually are. Like, you might have a business name that has nothing to do with your name, but in your who, what, why, say, hey, I'm Sophie and I work for Gate and I do X, Y, and Z. Where are you in the world? What's it like there? What makes you tick? Why are you unique? And what value are you offering us? So this is a hard thing to do, especially in Facebook and Instagram. You're given a very tiny window of words that you can actually say this in. Like, I think it's 250 characters on Facebook, on Instagram, which is nothing, you know. So this is a thing that took me, or takes me, a long time, every couple of months, because I change my bio quite regularly because my business changes and my goals change and my offer changes. But it is so worth the time, especially on social media, because if after today, I think, oh, I want to go and check out one of you guys, one of your businesses, the first place I'm going to go is Instagram, because that's my platform of choice, and I'm going to look for you there. And if your homepage doesn't tell me instantly who you are, what you mean to me, I probably won't follow you, just because life's busy. We've all got lots going on. We're quite careful about who we decide to interact with online. So make sure that you are really telling that in the best possible way. Oh, here's the lawyer I was mentioning before, Nick. So she is Rad Boss ladies, get their will, because legends leave legacies. She's all over it. And at the bottom of her bio, she's like, I'm a wife, a mother, a love of coffee and colour. So remember I said before, people like us do things like this. Like, she has thrown out lots of connection points there for me to hang on to and think, oh my God, I need a will. I want to be a legend. I love coffee and colour and I'm a mum. Boom, you're my chick. You know, I'm 100% going to go to her rather than some faceless lawyer that, that I've never heard of before. When I come to do my will, which I should have done, I'm going to think of her and go to her, because she shows up consistently sharing really valuable information to me. Might not happen tomorrow. It might happen in a year's time. It's a long game, I know, but it is so worth it. And this swimwear brand, it's a New Zealand one. I think that's a good example. And it's telling me it's for water women. Who doesn't want to be a water woman? Who doesn't want to have a life that celebrates leisure and adventure, blah, blah, blah. So instantly they're appealing to that kind of emotional factor and the kind of person I want to be. So really, and I know I'm focusing, that this who, what, why statement will be so valuable to you in everything you do. I would also, if you're going to do a newsletter, put at the bottom of every newsletter with a little photo. Who's the person behind this newsletter? Oh, it's me and I love coffee colour, blah, 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 whatever it might be. Use the word you more than you think you should, because again, it just forces you to put yourself in Sally or Steve's shoes. I hope you enjoy my newsletter. I hope you enjoy this content I have created for you, etc. So it's just that idea of always, I'm here for you, I'm solving problems for you, etc. Use more verbs, less nouns. Don't just say I'm a farmer. You could say I raise award-winning beautiful grass-fed beef, or I am a accountant and I will solve your tax headache, or whatever it might be. So don't just put out a passive I'm a this. Make it more of an active statement, and that gets me as your potential customer thinking, oh yeah, that's cool, I want to be a part of that. So spend some time, and it will take time. I really think this is one of the most powerful things you will do, coming up with that. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What's your why? Who are you? What do you do? Why are we going to care about it? Okay, the last step, how are we going for time? 10:30. Audit yourself. do a really thorough audit of your current online presence. So walk away today, take it like with fresh eyes, look at your website, look at your last email, look at your Facebook page, look at everywhere you show up. Is your profile photo 20 years old? Is it blurry? Are your last 3 posts actually making any kind of offer or value to your people? Would you follow you? That's a really good way to think about it. And I often think about that myself. Sometimes, you know, I can get a bit navel-gazily and think, oh my God, that's so boring, so shut up. Go back to Sally. What does Sally need from you? Do that it depends again on your business. But for me, I have lots of little alerts. But for me, I do it every 8 weeks. I go through and I look at all my insights. I look at my last 9 posts on Instagram. I look at my newsletter. I look at my website, especially the website, because I think we can forget about them. We just park them, done, tick, and then 3 years later, oh my God, that link is broken now, or this isn't working, or whatever it might be. Your profile photo on your social media is really important. Get a good one. If you have your brand logo, and if you can, please consider changing it to your face. It's called social media for a reason. It is much easier for me to connect with a human with teeth and whites of eyes smiling than a tiny little logo that I can't even read when I'm looking through my stories or my comments on my Instagram, okay? Think about that. It doesn't have to be a big scary frontal one. It could be just you in your space doing what you do, but please consider getting a nice photo or getting someone to take a nice photo of you, because it's called social media, right? I know some businesses, especially government and stuff, you've got to have the logo. I do understand. Even if you have a team and you don't want it to be just your face, one thing I often just suggest people is, say you've got a t-shirt that's blue, that's your brand color, get the whole team there on the one day, get them behind the same wall. There might be some, you know, with your branding somehow in it, or your blue t-shirt, take the same photo of everybody, rotate that every month. So say I'm going to change it, I'm going to put Camilla's photo up on the first day of the month, and I'm going to have her in her DPI gear, looking on brand, smiling, and I'm going to ask her the same 5 questions I'm going to ask everyone. You know, what's your favorite place to get a coffee in Orange? What playlist do you put on a big long car trip when you're traveling for work? What do you love most about working at DPI? Whatever. And then every month when I change that, I'm gonna ask the next person those 5 questions. So we're getting to know you, people like us do things like this, etc. We're staying on brand. We're being actual people, human beings. And we're also sharing a bit of fun, a bit of value. I always love learning about a new playlist. Who doesn't? Or a new podcast. So think about personalizing it like that. I went off on a tangent then. Your website has to be on point. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to tell us what you do, how we can get more of it, etc. Do a survey. You could do a poll on social media. What do people want more from you? What do they want less of? It's always a bit scary. But that's one of the great parts of social media, is that you can interact and do that. When we were standing at the farmers market asking people if there was too much pepper in our latest venison pie, I can do that on social media now. Obviously not with the pies, but you know what I'm saying. And look at your insights. Do some benchmarking. This is really, really important. But I would lead with that, putting your phone on 30-minute timer, because otherwise you can go down a rabbit hole and, oh my God, half a day is gone looking on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. 30 minutes, do it once a week, and make a list of the businesses that you think is smashing it out of the park. Who do you think is doing their digital marketing, social media really, really well? What's working for you? What elements of that really appeal to you? And how can you not copy them, but how can you incorporate some of those tactics, elements, whatever, in your own? It's not copying, but it's also just market research. What are your competitors doing? And how can you sort of pick up on that and do it better yourself? So 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a week, I think, and it's fun. And also talk to them, comment, use that time. Don't just consume when you're on social media. Spend time interacting with people. Any questions? Yeah.
So, what's the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is time, for sure, because, like as I said, this is a huge topic and a huge subject, and most of us are doing digital marketing at the very end of our day. It's not a priority job, is it? You've got to actually make your product, you've got to put it out there, you've got to do everything else, and then you've got to go and promote it. But I would say make time for it, like schedule half a day a week, whatever you can afford, not at 9 o'clock at night when you're exhausted and you think, oh my God, I haven't posted on Facebook for ages, I'll just chuck something up there. let's not do that, because those posts are generally not going to have the whiffum factor, and they're not going to be, they might be just for the sake of it. Put time aside, schedule your posts. I actually don't use a scheduling app at all. But what I do is I write in my notes app, or I dictate I always have 3 or 4 captions ready to go, and a photo parked somewhere, and I can just kind of post it when I need to. But schedule if you want to, whatever works for you. But the biggest challenge is time. That's why I said at the beginning, don't spread yourself too thin. Choose one thing. Start with one thing. Do your Facebook page really, really well, or Instagram, or just do your newsletter, and then you can branch out once you're off and running. But don't try and do everything, because it's impossible. You know, unless we had full-time social media people working for us, which wouldn't that be great? It's not possible. Show up in one way. Even if you decide, I'm going to do one live video from my farm every Friday morning, that's great. You know, that is a good thing to do, and you can build on that. And people will have that habit of, oh yeah, I've got to check in because Roger's going to show me what's going on the farm this morning. You know, whatever it might be, choose one thing, one gift you're going to give your people every week, and show up with that. Start small and build from there. So that's the biggest one. Oh, your Instagram is awesome, thanks. How do you connect with other creators organically? Do you connect with similar creators? Yes. So I was going to say this at the end. One of the biggest spend as much time, if not more, on other people's feeds as your own. You've got to get out there and mingle. Like, imagine going to a big party, not that we can do it a bit more now. Imagine going to a big party and standing in the middle of the room and talking about yourself all night. Like, nobody wants that. That's boring. You've got to actually, Instagram is the same. So is Facebook. They are social networking apps. That's how I think of them. You've got to get out there and connect and saying, oh my God, I love this photo, and I've tried this recipe, but I did this with it, or whatever your world, you know, would be. Spend more time in other people's feeds than your own. You can't just sort of sit there in your own little corner of the internet and expect everyone to magically come to you. It's not going to happen. You've got to get out there, and you can be a bit like nicely stalky about it. Like, write a list of 10 people a week that you really want to connect with. It might be the deputy editor of Outback, another PR person. It might be just your ideal Sally, who you've kind of spotted and you want her to come under your umbrella, and interact with them, like, but thoughtfully. Don't just do like a little like or an emoji. Actually say, show people, oh yeah, you've thought about what I've put out there, you've appreciated it, and you know, and interact. So I would say that's my biggest thing. That's how you get those organic growth. And after a little while of chatting and becoming friends, if I then send you a pitch and say, hey, I'd love to collaborate with you, or I've just released this new product, or whatever it might be, would you mind sharing it to your people? That person is much more likely to say, of course I would, I'd love to. Yeah, no worries, I'll share it right now, rather than just some random person coming to say, hey, can you share my product with your audience? Do you know what I mean? You've got to put the work in. It's networking. Here's another question. How did you get endorsements, sponsored posts? Did business approach you, or did you approach them? Is it a way to increase reach? I don't know if it's a way to increase reach. I only started getting, and it doesn't happen a lot, but businesses come to me and say, hey, can I pay you an amount of money to talk about, like last night I did something for Trenery, which is that Australian clothing brand. It was only after I hit 35,000 followers that I started to get those. I think that they must have some kind of automatic thing of, when people tick over a certain number of followers, they kind of, you pop up on the PR company's radar, and then they come to you. So I think you've got to sort of get to that certain point. I didn't get anything under 35,000 followers. Or, I mean, some things, but I think that's not a part of my core business, and it's not necessarily, I mean, it's great if it happens, but I would say to you, just make these things happen organically to yourself. Like, reach out to a complementary business. And so say Camilla makes beautiful coffee cups, and I roast coffee beans in orange. And I might say, hey, Camilla, I love your cup. Why don't we do a really fun photo shoot together? You come to my house, I'll get my friend who's a photographer, and we'll take a heap of photos, and we've all got photos to share on our social media, and we're all tapping into each other's followers. And people like us do things like this, you know? So that's what I would start to do, is reach out to people in your world who have complementary businesses, and create those opportunities for yourself. And the more momentum you have, the more people will notice, hey, I love that thing you did with the coffee cup. Can we do something similar? And then it will evolve from there, I think.
Do you know Matt Knight?
I do. Hello, Matt.
Can I use Martin as my seed?
Yes, you can, Matt. You can absolutely use Matt. You can use Tim if you want. That's my husband. Okay, here's a question. What are some technical challenges you face when it comes to social media? Wi-Fi is my main one. Actually, getting good Wi-Fi. I'm often like up on the hill doing these ones. I think it's actually putting the time in to learn how to edit a photo, how to do reels, how to edit, you know, whatever it might be. And honestly, I'm a big believer that anything you want to learn in life, you can learn on YouTube. So if you have a question, how do I actually put it? How do I do a reel? If you Google that and watch 20 minutes of YouTube videos and practice, you'll be all over it. I mean, I can show you a bit too, but I think there's a lot of resources out there. And really, all of these platforms are very intuitive. They might seem a bit scary. Oh my God, reels, I don't have to point and jump and do transitions. No, you don't have to do any of that. You just have to do you. You could literally stand in a paddock and talk for 30 seconds and press post, and that's a reel. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be all the shiny bells and whistles, and that might not actually suit your Sally or your brand anyway. So YouTube it, spend time on it. Like, it's not, as I said, it's not a quick fix, but it's really, really powerful stuff, this. It really is worth the time. Okay, just quickly, I'm almost...
You've got plenty of time.
Okay. Great.
So up to you.
Okay, well, let's just keep chatting. If anyone needs to do whatever you need to do, I'll can repeat myself. Okay, so putting it into practice. As I said at the very beginning, there are many, many ways to show up on digital marketing. And I'm not going to talk about SEO and Facebook ads and stuff like that now, because that's the whole day project. And also, I think for us, I think these are the three things that are most relevant, achievable, and affordable. Okay, be proactive and active on your social media. I can't say this enough. Be a human being, talk to people, go out there, mingle, chat, show what's going on. And don't underestimate how interested we are in your world and your story. You might think, oh my God, no one wants to hear this. We really, really do. So decide to show up once a week with one thing for us, and then make your offers around that. Make sure your website works. Honestly, it doesn't have to be flashy. It could be a free Squarespace holding page, right? And as long as it's got a phone number, a nice photo, and your who, what, why statement on it, that's fine. Okay. I mean, it depends on your business, obviously. Please consider a newsletter. I feel like everybody I talk to about this that starts one goes, oh, I wish I'd done this a year ago. Because, you know, Instagram, don't put all your bags in the one basket, all your eggs in one basket. You know, don't just think I'm only going to do Facebook or whatever, even though I've just said pick one thing, but you know what I mean. Because you don't own those followers. You know, Facebook, your account could get hacked. Facebook could just decide, actually, you have to pay to use this platform now, which is, I mean, it's kind of gradually going in that direction anyway. But your newsletter is you talking directly to the people that want to hear from you. And don't be disheartened, even if you've got 10 followers. That's great. Nurture those 10 and they will share it with other people, and so it goes. Okay. So make sure those three things are on your radar. It doesn't all have to happen at the one time, but please consider a newsletter. Social media, as I said before, it's a great way to do some live, to share what makes you tick, to get out of bed in the morning, you know, to really show up as a human being. That's how you're going to stand out in the marketplace. To have good social media posts, just very, very quickly, you need a strong visual. You know, I was on a train in Sydney last week, actually, and I was watching everybody in the morning, like just literally doing these ones. Scroll, so fast, it's brutal. So if you're on Instagram, and you probably do it the same, what is going to make someone stop and read your post? It's got to be the visual. And you don't need to be a professional photographer. You don't need to pay, although I do actually think it's quite good to invest in getting a suite of images done, but learn to take them yourself. YouTube it, natural light, you know, really slow down, think about how you can take a good photo that's going to make people stop. So this Gulf Coast ad company, I think, is they're up in the north, obviously, in Queensland. They are smashing it with their social media. Every photo they put up, it might not be the shiniest photo, but like, look at this gorgeous girl. When you stop and want to read more about her, she's a jewellery, what's her story, etc. For a photo of the three girls I took a couple of years ago at St. Joseph's in Molong, and it was a stinking hot day, and the girls were like, we were promoting their cordial fundraiser, and they were all itchy and scratchy. And I said, no, come. It was like 42 degrees in January or February. I said, come into the shed. We went into the machinery shed, and I said, just throw your hands up. And I took that photo. And it's one of my favorite photos of all time. But that's the kind of photo that me, I personally would stop and go, oh, that's cute. What's going on there? You know, so it doesn't have to be super flash. It just has to have something in there that people are going to stop and look at. You don't have to use a photo. You can use infographics. You can use text. You can use illustrations. I would say to you, if you're going to do that, choose one font, one kind of colorway, and stick with it. Don't be all over the shop, because consistency breeds trust, and people do business with people they know, like, and trust, you know. So if you're going to show up maybe every third or fourth post on Facebook or Instagram with something like this, a quote or something like that, make sure that they're consistent. Canva is your best friend. It's fantastic. You can just go in there and type over the same words, the same letters, and make sure you're on point. But don't put text over a photo. We don't do that anymore, okay? It looks a bit ugly. Also, it makes your photo, like, people are like, what am I looking at here? That's a bit hard. I'm going to scroll on past. You need a strong caption. Dictate it. Show, don't tell. Talk to Sally or Martin or Steve or whatever it might be. Keep it brief and to the point. So 70% of digital content is on tablets these days, which means like in a micro moment. So waiting for your coffee, waiting for something, standing at the bus stop, whatever it might be, got to be brief and to the point. I think it was Mark Twain said, I'm sorry about the long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one. And it's so true. It's really, really hard being brief. So that terrible expression, TLDR, too long, didn't read. You don't want anyone giving you that in your caption. So keep it brief, make people feel something, you know, but be yourself, be a real person, share your challenges, share how, you know, you picked yourself up after that setback or whatever it might be, as long as you're comfortable. Someone said to me once something which I've really hung on to, only share things on social media that you're comfortable getting feedback on. And I think that's really good advice. So I am not comfortable getting feedback on my marriage or the way I parent my kids. I talk to my friends about that. I don't need to put that onto the internet, you know, but I'm comfortable getting feedback on a cake recipe or the way that, you know, I don't know, something on the farm. Do you know what I mean? So share what you're comfortable getting feedback on, because you will get feedback. The other day, I put a photo of our guinea fowl just scratching around in the shed, and I got like 6 messages going, that's really cruel. There's not a blade of grass. You've locked them up. And I was like, no, they were free to run around. But, you know, so people, you'll get the feedback, and don't let it kind of bring you down, but don't share stuff that's going to kind of freak you out if people write back to you about it. Be very deliberate about the tone of voice you're using and the words you choose. That comes back to knowing your Sally, your Steve, your Martin. If you're talking directly to that person, you'll know, like if you're a lawyer or an accountant or something, of course you're going to talk in a more professional way. For me, I'm very informal because we're talking about cakes, you know, it's not brain surgery. Think about the right way to talk to your people and make it look good. You know, don't just post chunks of text. Nobody wants that. And this is the same with your website, your newsletter, whatever channel that you're on. Use line breaks. A few well thought out emojis never go astray. Lists and bullet points are great with headings, because people are everything you do has to be scannable. Everyone's scanning. Where's the key point here? What's the value? What's in it for me? Okay. So don't just post chunks of captions, because that's a bit overwhelming. People might think, oh my God, I haven't got time for this. I'll come back to it. But here's my bus. I can't be bothered. And they probably won't come back because they're busy. So make it look good. Break up, use bullet points. The recent thing that Facebook did, which I've found very helpful, is that Instagram, you can now post on your laptop. So you can actually type your caption in, put your line breaks in, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do, as my mum says, tip tapping on your phone. You can actually do it on your computer and then post directly from your laptop onto Instagram. That was a bit of a game changer for me, because I don't like typing on my phone. So, you know, all these things, just practice what works for you, but yeah, keep it brief and lots of white space. Your website, as I said, it doesn't have to cost a fortune. This is my blog. It's free. It's on WordSpace. I pay a hosting fee because I've got so much stuff on there that I've clicked into the next level. So many recipes. Check it out. But blogs are free and they're great. Like, honestly, the templates are fantastic. Lots of white space. You know, it takes a bit of time to set up. I paid a local illustrator, Amelia Herbertson, who's fantastic, to do my header. I think I paid a few years ago, it was like $200. I think that's money well spent. It instantly makes it look nice and friendly and welcoming, hopefully. Or you might have an e-commerce site, which is a whole other thing, but whatever site you need, it's just got to look good. It's got to represent, it's got to fly your flag in the right way. If you're a wine producer, I don't know if there are any wine producers or value adder, right? Or you made cheese, you're not going to stick a label on it with a spelling mistake. You will check it and you'll check it again and make sure it represents you properly. It's the same with your website, with your newsletter, etc. It's got to represent you in the right way. I'll quickly go through this. I've said this before, newsletters are a level playing field. They're bricks and mortar. And most importantly, they prompt 3 times more purchases than social media. Okay, so the way I think about it, my Instagram is where we chat, we hang out, we get to know each other. And my newsletter is where I sell stuff. That's where I sell my workshops and my books, etc. And I give value there as well, I hope. Flowdesk is free. It's a fantastic, actually, it's in meta stage right now, but it's going to be, I think, $14 a month soon. It is amazing. The templates are beautiful. You drag and drop and off you go. Substack, you guys might have heard a lot about that. It's another free site and you can actually charge for your newsletters there if you want to. Really easy to use, and MailChimp, again, is free for the first 2,000 followers, and that's very, very easy to use. And there's templates there that you can just drag, drop, off you go. So don't be daunted by the text. Done is better than perfect. All of those things, just start and get better every time you do it. Okay, this is my last slide. Spend as much time on other people's feeds as your own. I can't say that enough. I think a lot of us forget to do that. We wait for people to come to us. We've got to get out there too and mingle. Reach out to complementary businesses and suggest collaborations. That's a big way to grow on social media, particularly. Rising ships, what does it say? Rising tides lift all boats. You know, we don't, it's community over competition. God, that took me a while to get out. But you know what I mean? Like, support each other, be generous, be proactive, and share what you know. Like, you all know a lot about your thing. If you're experts in it and you're passionate about it, just show up every week, every month, whatever you can manage, and share that, you know, and make sure you put your offer in. So here, I've shown you how I make my beautiful coffee cups. Here's where you can buy them. What color do you want me to do next? Whatever it might be, okay? All right. Questions?
Yes. How do you deal with negative comments?
So, I mean, it's not easy. I think you've got to deal with them quickly. You've got to be honest. You know, if someone asks a question about, I mean, to be honest with me, if a cake recipe doesn't work, or if, you know, people haven't enjoyed one of my workshops, you just have to say, I'm really, really sorry. I stuffed that one up. Actually, it should have been a cup of sugar instead of a cup of salt, or whatever it might be. Often I might say to people, when we used to talk a lot more about the venison, we don't do that so much because our business has changed a lot. I find with meat, that's a tricky one, especially on Facebook. If you're going to stick your head over the parapet there and talk about livestock and raising animals, it can be a bit scary. I get it. But that's why I think if you show up, sharing your videos, here I am, here are my animals, look how happy they are, we really care about welfare, whatever it might be, already you'll have that social license. You should already have that if you're doing that. If you have people that come to you and say, you're a monster, how can you kill cows for beef or whatever, often I would say to people, hey, I'll direct message them and say, here's my number, let's jump on a call and talk about it. I'm happy to answer all your questions. Make yourself available, be a human, don't just ignore it. I think sometimes people have an agenda and they will not listen to you. And I think in that case, you can just go block and move on. I block people often if I think that they are not my Sally, and if I think that, you know, in my head they're like, oh, she's an idiot, I'll block that person. They'll never know, and I can just share in a nice, happy, relaxed way. So I think if it's a negative comment that you can act on, that you can resolve, jump straight onto it and do it in an open way if you're comfortable. If it's something you need to take onto a direct message, do that. Say, hey, I've just sent you a direct message. Let's definitely chat and figure this out. Okay, but don't ignore them.
Okay. So being agile in social media.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Social media is constantly changing. There's always the next thing, TikTok, whatever it might be. How do you keep up? I think you do have to constantly be educating yourself on the next thing. That depends on what your goals are, right? If going back to your goals at the very beginning, if you have your rusted on fans who love receiving your weekly video on Instagram and they're sharing it with their friends, great. Keep doing that, keep giving them what you want. But if you have a goal, I need to grow my social media by 1,000 people a month, an aggressive social media goal, or whatever it might be, you need to be doing reels. You need to be looking at what new features that the platforms are rolling out. So for example, Reels, Facebook, Instagram and Facebook, because they're now on Facebook, they clearly want us to use them. That's their answer to TikTok. They want us to get on board with that because ultimately they want to sell ads, right? They want to keep eyeballs on their app for as long as possible. So if you are using this shiny new toy they've given us to play with and people are enjoying it, they're like, great, people are spending a lot of time on that person's feed. We're going to show more people that feed and then we're going to chuck some ads around it. Do you know what I mean? So look at the new features that they're rolling out and use them. Okay, learn them, upskill yourself, figure out how to add the right music, etc. Again, it's not a quick fix, but if you really do have that goal of big growth, you've got to play the game a bit, I think. And YouTube is your best friend. Everything you need to know is on YouTube.
And on that, do Instagram and Facebook give you updates of what's being rolled out?
Yes, they do. So follow Instagram, follow Facebook on or Meta. I have a creator account, but anyone can follow the Instagram creator. I'll put that in the link that I'm going to send you. And Adam Mossieri, who's the head of Instagram, basically once a week these days, sits down and does a video and tells us what they want us to do. Like they're telling us, use five hashtags. Don't use 20 hashtags anymore. That's not working anymore. 3 of those hashtags need to be the same every time. So you train the algorithm to funnel your content into particular channels. And 2 of them need to be specific. Adam, my best friend, has told me everything. He sits there and he does a video every week. Okay. So listen to the app because they are freaking out a bit because there's so much competition. So they're trying to keep everybody on their app. So they're telling us what to do. But again, don't put all your eggs in that one basket because I think just start collecting.
Should you be posting on socials?
Okay, that's like how long is a piece of string? It's a tricky one. I think, used to be every day, you've got to post every day. That's too much. I think now it's just too much to do well. I would say 2 to 3 times a week, do a feed post if you can. One of those, make it the same kind of thing every week. And I've got some content ideas I'll share with you guys afterwards as well in an email. But I said that example before. One of them could be standing in your paddock. This is what's going on the farm today. We've had this rain, we've got these products, we've sent some cattle off, whatever. Another one could be, this is our news, this is our latest, that's all. So twice a week in your feed, and then show up if you can, even daily, doing Instagram stories. That's where you can put that behind the scenes stuff. This is what I'm working on. I might do a little photo of this setup. Oh, I did this great workshop today. I hope it was great. Might have been terrible. It was really fun, whatever it might be. So show up in your stories regularly, and you can relax about stories. They go after 24 hours. That's where you can be a bit more yourself. I think your feed needs to look a bit shinier because that is your little business card. That's when if I jump onto your page for the very first time, I'm going to make a judgment, about who you are, what you do, and the quality of what you do based on your first 9 photos. Brutal, but true. So your stories is where you can show up and be a bit more relaxed, I think. Okay, another question. You mentioned limited time being the biggest issue. What is a normal week for you? Creating content, engaging online, collaborating. So I think I might be a bit different because my job at the moment these days, but I think, so for me, it could be 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes it could be 3 hours a day. I spend digital marketing, writing my newsletter, creating posts, but some of those I get paid for. They're a big part of my business. I would say normally, if your job isn't tied so closely to social media like mine is, I think if you sort of said to yourself half an hour a day, maybe, if that's too much, or half a day a week to batch produce 2 or 3 posts, think about it, do your scrolling, do your commenting, spending time on other people's feeds. I think that's probably reasonable. Do what you can, but do it well. Don't make unreasonable goals. Like 1 post a week, as long as it's really good, and as long as you're getting out there and networking and commenting on everybody else's, I think that's fine. Just do what you can and do it well. Is that the question?
Yeah, it is for the questions, but I wanted to throw it to the room to see if there was anyone who would like to unmute and have a conversation with Sophie about her content. Are there any other specific questions? I know there are some people that have dropped off because they've got other things going on, but would anyone like to have a chat?
Oh, hi, James Purple. I didn't see you there. Hi. We did have a wine producer in the room. Is there anything like specific tech stuff that anyone wants to ask or anything? Or everyone needs to go and get a coffee? I don't mind.
Sorry, go.
Do you have a preferred program for your photo editing?
Who's that? Is that Jackie?
Yep.
Yeah, fabulous.
Hi, Jackie. Yes, I do. I use one called Visco, and it's VSCO, so it stands for Visual Supply Company. There's a few good ones out there. There's Snapseed and Afterlight. Visco, I think, is about $14 a year to buy, but I think it's really worthwhile. And really, what I do when I go to, I can actually show you guys. I'll finish this question. I can put my phone up and just show you how I edit a photo quickly, if that's helpful. But I put a filter through it, and I put the same filter every single time. So my filter is C1. Like I said before, sorry about my emails. Like I said before, if you're putting text graphics in a post, it's got to be the same font, the same color every time to get that consistency. It's the same with your editing, and editing is a really, really big part of that consistency. And James, any other winemakers, this might ring true for you. I heard a wine maker say once, when he comes to making his wine, he thinks, if the label fell off, I still want people to know it was my wine, you know? And that's how I think about my Instagram particularly. Like, so if you're scrolling and you can't see it's my photo, my goal is that you might think, that looks like a Sophie pic because it's bright and it's this and it's that. That's what you want to think about with your editing, and your filter choice is a big part of that. So Visco has about 50 filters you can choose to put through your photos, and you can toggle up and down to adjust the strength so they don't look a bit weird. But I use one called C1. I've got a photographer friend in Tassie. She uses A2. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll find your filter. That's what I do. I put my photo through, I toggle the strength, I might brighten it a bit, I might crop it a bit, and then I post it. It takes me like 30 seconds because I've practiced at it now. So Visco is great. There are, like, Instagram has in-app editing tools, which are okay, but I think they're a bit of a blunt tool, personally. I would not use the filters on there. They're a bit, and so I would say invest that $14 in Visco or whatever. There's another great app for stories called Unfold, and that's free to a certain point. It's, Unfold, and it gives you fantastic templates that you can do very quickly to put, say if you've got a photo that's an awkward shape, you can stick it in and put text at the bottom, and it's white and it's clean. So I think having a few little tools in your back pocket like that can make a really big difference. But yeah, Visco is what I would suggest checking out.
Great. So Sophie, we might get you to connect your phone now, and we might get you to see you in action, if that's okay. For everyone in the room, we are planning on going until about 11:30. We were going to have a break, but the technical issues at the beginning kind of threw a spanner in the works. So we might, are there any specific things that you would like Sophie to show on her phone and how she does Facebook, or would you like to see the photo editing firsthand? Any comments, questions on that?
Or not?
Okay. Well, shall we do the Visco thing? Do a photo edit?
Sure.
Great.
And I get that this might not be relevant to everybody. So if you need to go, bye-bye, thanks for joining us. I'll just kind of step through how I would edit a photo quickly, if that's useful to any of you guys. And that's my cute puppy behind you, who's grown up now. Okay, so Visco is that app with the little black circle at the top of my screen, second from the top on the left. So I'm going to press on that, and oh God, I should have thought about this. Okay. I'm going to find a good photo. Oh, that's the guinea fowl photo that I got bad press on. Okay. All right. So I'll share this one. This is I did this sponsored stuff with Trenery last night. So say I want to, actually I'll do a cake. Sorry. I'll do this cake. Okay. So I've selected the photo that I want to edit, and it's just downloading it. Hopefully it won't take too long. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. And Visco will also edit your videos as well. It will put a nice filter around your video. Okay, so here we go. I've got my photo, and at the bottom I was talking to you about all the different filters you can use. You can make it grainy, you can make it moody. Whatever filter you choose will kind of fall under that branding umbrella. So whatever, you know, if your brand is bright and shiny and contrasty or whatever, or if it's a bit more moody, a bit darker, all of this kind of comes into play here. But my one that I use is C1, and that's a bit bright, it's a bit much. So I'm going to press on it again and adjust the strength, you see? So I'm going to make it about, it's probably not ideal quality that you can see, but I'll put it probably in the middle. And because I shot this in the afternoon when the sun was coming into my pantry, it's a bit warm, it's a bit yellow, and weirdly, Instagram has done all this research and people don't like warm photos as much as they like cool photos. So, but also I don't either. I find warm is a bit dated for some reason. I know I'm getting a bit messy here, but so what I'm going to do is press the little toggle button at the bottom, and I'm going to go to white balance, and I'm going to just cool it to the temperature. Cool, you can warm it up or cool it down. I use this all the time, especially if you have to take a photo inside. My kitchen has got a lot of timber and it throws a kind of orangey hue. So I always cool it down. It's not much, but just a little bit. I mean, that's obviously way too much. So that. And then I would maybe, you could brighten it or darken it, depending on your look and feel, your vibe. The other main one is the adjust button. So cropping is a really good thing to do. Don't ever, if you're taking a photo, don't ever pinch to zoom in to whatever you want to see. Let's not do that anymore because it makes your photo really blurry and grainy. Do that here in your cropping app. So if you've taken a photo and you want to get rid of a post, or if you want to get closer to the person, use that adjust tool. And sometimes a bit of a crop makes it a much more interesting photo. Maybe that's more interesting. I don't know what you guys think. You know, have a play around with it. You can spin it around. You can do all sorts of things. Let's not do that. Okay, I'm going to go like that. And okay, let's say I'm happy with that photo now. And I'm going to go next. And I'm going to save it to my camera roll. And then I'm going to go to my Instagram page. And I'm going to press on that little plus button at the top. And I'm going to post it. And the other thing, this might be basic for you guys, I'm not sure, but don't post square photos anymore, okay? That's very 2015. Instagram now lets us, with that little arrow button in the top bottom left, make it square or make it portrait. Or if it was a landscape photo, you could make it landscape. The reason why portrait is really good is you get more real estate on the screen that way, because you want to take up as much space on people's screens as they're scrolling through as possible. And by using square, you're just like cheating yourself of all that beautiful white space. Okay, so next, and then again here I could use one of Instagram's ugly filters, but I'm not going to. And here we go. I'm just going to put my caption in. I'm going to tag people. Don't forget. Oh God, I don't want to post that. Don't forget. Where are we? Advanced settings down the bottom. Alt text. You want to use alt text because that's basically, I mean, that's originally the idea was it was for vision impaired people to see what that photo is about. But what it also is that's where Instagram's looking for keywords. That's their little SEO search. Okay. So if you put in, even if I just put blackberry chocolate cake there, then when Instagram's trawling, it's going to pick that up. It will also pick it up in your post. But as far as I'm aware, my friend Adam told me, this is a really good thing to do. So I'm doing it. Okay, so don't forget your alt text and tag anybody. Tell us where you are. If it's, yeah, put your hashtags in here. There's always been a bit of confusion about whether it's better to put your hashtags in your caption or in the comment, the first comment. I think now, because the feeling is that you really only should be using 5, maybe maximum 8 hashtags. It's not as ugly. I would actually just put a few line breaks in my caption and put it in there. Any other questions about editing or posting? Do you change your language with different platforms, such as Insta versus LinkedIn? Yes, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't use LinkedIn. I'm on it, but I don't use it as much just because it's not where my Sally is coming to me for content. But probably a bit. I mean, LinkedIn, we know it's more professional. Twitter, I'd probably change it a little bit. I find Twitter quite shouty and look at me. But I think you would probably adjust it a little bit just because you've got to get everyone's attention so much faster. Whereas with Instagram, your photo is doing that heavy lifting at the beginning. So I probably would a bit. Any other questions about anything? Well, I've got my phone up.
Yeah, I think we seem to have everyone. So I guess look, it's 11:11. Great time to maybe be wrapping it up. I just want to say a really big thank you to you, Sophie, for all of that. There was a huge amount of content in there. I'm going to have to rewatch the video, I think, to make sure that I've got it all. But thank you so much for everyone in the room and for persevering with our tech issues. It's been fantastic seeing you all. And thank you. The resources, Sophie's done a lovely workbook for you. That will be coming to you shortly. Plus all the extra little links that may not be in there. So we'll just do, we'll capture all of that and make sure you get it. The recording will be coming out in a couple of weeks. Now, in your Slido, you will see that there is a post survey evaluation. We would love to hear from you about what you learned, if you're going to implement anything that you may have seen here today. As part of the Farm Business Resilience Program, we are funded by the Australian government, the Future Drought Fund, and the New South Wales DPI, and the LLS helped us put this together today. There'll be many more events coming up in the next few months all over the state now that COVID hopefully has disappeared. Fingers crossed. We will be doing some face-to-face events. So watch this space. Please hop onto droughthub.newsouthwales.gov.au/FB RP, the Farm Business Resilience Program. There will be updates on there, and if you've signed up to this event, you'll be added to our mailing list if you're happy to receive our emails. So yes, if you could, thank you so much, Sophie, for all of your time. Thank you to Lisa for all of your back-end assistance, and Suze. Thank you to Casey Proctor, who unfortunately is in the middle of a rainstorm at the moment, couldn't join us from Cowra. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Please fill in our post evaluation. We love feedback. We really appreciate hearing from you. And if you want to give us more feedback, send me an email and I'll share it with the team. So you should all have my email address. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your day. Thank you.